As if knowing magic wasn't enough for Dungeons & Dragons, now we've got to dive into the worlds of psionics, or brain powers. Hey fellow Game Masters, welcome to the RPG Daily, your daily dose of all things tabletop role-playing games, helping you build your world and master your game. And today we are continuing our series on the fighter martial archetypes, talking about the Psi-Warrior. I really feel like they could have picked a more interesting, unique name than Psi-Warrior, but it does say what this subclass is all about, as it is about using psionics to empower your attacks and defenses, similar to the Eldritch Knight. Psionics and magic have a distinction in Dungeons & Dragons, where magic is built around studying and understanding the energies that flow throughout the world and the different schools of magic, and there's a lot to go into there. Psionics is more about the brain powers and the telekinetic abilities of a person, and the Psi-Warrior finds those abilities, uses them in their combat situations to empower their attacks or bolster their defenses. In terms of lore, this martial archetype is common for Githyanki. Some High Elves and Kalashtar also like to become Psi-Warriors. Learning psionic abilities can come from many different places, from a school where they train people to a mentor, or even just a natural learning that a character might go through. So as you're deciding how your character became psionic empowered, be creative with it. That's all. So let's start into what you get when you become a Psi-Warrior. At level 3, you're gaining psionic power. This is how you are going to empower your attacks. This is just the baseline for this subclass, and it starts by giving you an energy pool called psionic energy dice. Psionic energy dice, you start off with a number equal to your proficiency bonus times 2. So if your proficiency is 3, you're going to have 6 psionic dice. What these dice are used for is to empower psionic abilities that you get also at this level. We're going to cover those here in a moment. But basically, to use a psionic ability, you have to expend one of these psionic energy dice unless the ability says otherwise. After a long rest, any psionic die that you've spent are regained or regenerated. And in addition, after a short or long rest, you can actually use a bonus action to regain one psionic ability die in a combat situation if you've run out, for example. And like I said, that ability is usable after a short or long rest. The psionic dice start as a D6. At level 5, they become a D8. At level 11, they become a D10. And at level 17, they become a D12. So your pool and the power used in your psionic dice grows over time. So let's get into the first 3 abilities that you gain through these psionic powers. These ones you gain at level 3 along with your psionic powers. The first one is Protective Field. This is a shield that you can use on yourself or your allies. How this works is if you or an ally you can see within 30 feet take damage from an attack, you can, as a reaction, expend one psionic die to reduce the damage that they take from the attack. You are going to spend that psionic die, add your intelligence ability score modifier, and reduce the damage that the target, either yourself or your ally, receives by that number that you get. The next ability you get is Psionic Strike, and this is an offensive ability that empowers your attacks a little bit more. You can use this ability once per turn, also limited by your psionic die though. How this works is when you hit a target with an attack within 30 feet of you and deal damage to them with a weapon, you can then spend one of your psionic die to empower that attack. You roll that psionic die, add your intelligence ability score modifier, and increase the damage dealt to them by the number that you get. The next ability you get is Telekinetic Movement. This is more of a utility ability that lets you move things with your mind. As an action, you can target an object that is size large or smaller, or a willing creature, and move that object or creature with your mind up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. If the object happens to be tiny, something you can fit in your hand, you can move it to or from your hand, simply kind of calling it to you, kind of like a lightsaber. The movement of the object can be horizontal or vertical or diagonal, whichever way you want to move it. It's important to note that you can use this ability once per short or long rest without actually expending one of your psionic ability die. But if you want to use it again between that short or long rest, you will have to expend one of the die to use the ability. That was all level 3, and now we hit level 7 where we become Telekinetic Adepts. This level gives you more abilities you can use your telekinetic powers with, and empowers or enhances some of the original abilities as well. The first ability you get at level 7 is called the Psi-Powered Leap, and this builds on the Telekinetic Movement, and is better because now you can use this on yourself. How this works is as a bonus action, you choose to use your Psi-Powered Leap on yourself, giving you a fly speed that is equal to 2 times your walking speed. This fly speed is available to you until the end of the current turn. You are able to use this Psi-powered leap once per short or long rest without expending a psionic die. But if you want to do it again, a second time in that short or long rest time span, you will have to expend a psionic die to do so. The next ability you get at level 7 enhances your psionic strike. Kind of. It's called Telekinetic Thrust. This one adds on to your psionic strike by giving you a little bit of crowd control ability that you can use on the battlefield. How this works is whenever you hit a target and use your psionic strike on them, you can then force your target to make a strength saving throw. The difficulty challenge of the strength saving throw is 8 plus your intelligence ability score modifier plus your proficiency score. If they fail that strength saving throw, you can then either knock them prone or push them up to 10 feet away from you. At level 10, you get a more passive ability called Guarded Mind. This one makes you a little bit tougher in resistance to different things. The first thing you get passively is resistance to psychic damage. So those brain powers don't really hurt you as much as they used to. The next part of this is when you start a turn with either the Charmed or Frightened condition, you can actually spend one of your psionic die to end those conditions on yourself. So this gives you a quick way to get out of being charmed or frightened by a powerful enemy. At level 15, you gain Bulwark of Force. This one creates a psionic shield that you can use over yourself and several other allies if you would like. How this works is as a bonus action, you can choose a number of creatures within 30 feet of you. The number you can choose is equal to your intelligence ability score modifier. Those creatures then gain the effects of having half cover for 1 minute. Half cover gives those creatures +2 to their armor class and to dexterity saving throws. This half cover lasts for 1 minute or until you, the caster, are incapacitated. This ability can also be used for free once per short or long rest, and it could be used multiple times if you choose to spend a psionic die to do so. Now at level 18 you gain Telekinetic Master, which allows you to be even better at moving things with your brain. This lets you cast the spell Telekinesis without having to use any components, and Intelligence is your spellcasting ability. In addition to that, on each of your turns, while you maintain concentration on this Telekinesis, you can then use your bonus action to make an attack on a target, including on the turn that you use to cast Telekinesis. You can use this ability once per long rest for free, but if you want to use it more than one time per long rest, you will have to spend one of your psionic die to do that. This archetype is really interesting to me because psionics gives a fun alternative to magic in the world. We deal with a lot of magic all the time in Dungeons & Dragons. This just is a nice something different that it was really fun to see and enjoyable. As much as I like this class and I like the idea behind the Psi-Warrior, it didn't stand out to me as anything super amazing and great and wonderful. I'm sure there are plenty of people who've enjoyed playing this and can really explain the benefits, and there are, I'm sure, tons of different uses for a lot of these abilities, but for me it didn't stand out and say, hey, look at me, I'm a great subclass. So it's not really on my list at this point in time. If you liked the video, I invite you to like this video, hit the subscribe button on the channel, and join us on our Discord, which the link is in the description. If you want to support the channel and get some more cool minis for your table, check out my Etsy shop. It's down in the description. It's called Adventures in 3D. You can purchase minis that I have listed there. I can ship them to you. And hey, even if you design a character on Hero Forge, you can get that printed up for you for a little bit less than Hero Forge does. Quite a bit less, actually. So check that out. All that being said, I've been Richard. Thanks for watching.